Yeah, this is the broadband technology position, right? So for this, can you think of any examples where you were able to solve any technical problems or implement something new with this role?
Um, this goes back a little bit. I mean, in terms of the video players and the boards
Mm-hmm.
and blogs and wikis, this was um, really NBC's introduction into these technologies um,
Mm-hmm.
for our brands, right? So all of our different NBC satellite, let's say. So there wasn't anything like new because we were using essentially open source. We were leveraging open source platforms,
Mm-hmm.
in-sourcing them, and
Got it.
developing upon those stacks for our brand. So customized looks and feels. Right? We skinned everything to look just very brand centric.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think really it was the an attempt by the company to create a shared service around these platforms for all of our properties,
All
but
right.
giving those properties a unique look and feel, and enabling them to continue to um, uh, aesthetically, at least, just give them the brand identity that they needed with these platforms. And
All
that was a
right.
bit of a challenge, but because it required maintaining separate instances and just separate development tracks. Every brand had its unique characteristics. But no, from a technology perspective, I don't think there was anything so challenging or unique about this. It was more around implementation and customization.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that those properties, they all had to have like a unique creative outlook. So how were you
Correct.
able to manage that then?
I mean, it was essentially intaking and prioritizing their requirements.
Mm-hmm. And you were,
And then and we have a development team, which was not under me. So I had the product team, the development team was parallel. And was just getting those the development team, whether it's the UX person or the backend code developer or whatever, prioritize with those requirements across those brands. And yeah, that always obviously required some sort of management with the brands to prioritize, right? Because
mm-hmm.
unless it was revenue generating or very newsworthy, things just got prioritized as they were coming in.
Mm-hmm. And were all your customers then these properties, were they all satisfied?
Yeah, I mean, we delivered at the end of the day what was required. Whether or
Mm-hmm.
not they were actually satisfied with it, we have challenging internal customers. No,
Uh-huh.
but it met all their requirements. It just, maybe in terms of timing or whatever, it's always a challenge to be 100% with.
All right. Okay. So for this position then, um any other problems or anything related to maybe the video segment or media and entertainment that you did here that you'd like to mention?
Beyond what's already there and what we've talked about, probably not.
All right. Okay, so we'll move
Also
on to
because
the
it was
next
such a
one.
short role, right? It was only like a
Yeah,
year.
just a year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So your next role is as a director of technical account management. Tell me your key responsibilities for this role.
The key responsibilities here included um, all of the IT services that were provided back to the businesses in Washington, D.C. So it included the local station, NBC News, MSNBC, CNBC, News Channel. I think
Mm-hmm.
those 5 were the major properties that we had in Washington, consolidating all of the IT infrastructure into one shared network. and set of services. Before I got there, all these units were operating their own IT environments. They had their own email, they had their own network, they had their own file and print. My charge coming into this role was to build up a team, first of all, to service all of these properties in some common method, right? So we had 5 or 6 essentially desk side engineers. These were level 2, level 3 engineers, support personnel that then serviced these brands, whether it's desktop, whether it's remote field engineering, remote field operations. So news gathering, we supported like the inauguration in 2004. We had all sorts of different news events because these were all news properties that were happening in the DC area. So all the IT needs associated with those properties came back to this team. In addition to that, we consolidated the network across these properties back into New York, into headquarters. So before, where everyone had their own circuits and their own networks that were communicating with New York, we changed all that. So we went from a isolated and segmented network infrastructure in DC into one consolidated network infrastructure. We upgraded the connectivity then, from like a couple of megabits each to 100 megabit lines. We provided dedicated 100 meg connectivity back to the client. We supported we aggregated all the network pieces that went between about 5 or 6 different permanent remote locations. So White House, Pentagon, State Department, the Supreme Court, and Congress. Consolidated all of those networks and the press rooms in each one of those locations back into our central DC location and then back to New York. We also supported the broadcast teams, so NBC Nightly News or Today Show, as they were producing segments from DC. All of the compute and IT needs of the broadcast environments was handled by us as well. So that included firewall configurations, edit workstation configurations and installations and maintenance, all of their whatever IT needs that they had.
All right. So you mentioned that you were basically making like a consolidated centralized network, right? So what were the advantages of this? Did it make it more affordable and more manageable?
Definitely. From a cost perspective, right? I mean, basically we centralized all the costs away from the different brands and properties into one consolidated cost structure. The other thing being, because of the consolidation and the cost savings, we were able to improve bandwidth between locations, between New York, at least by 10x.
All right.
And that was a huge performance improvement. Obviously, it enabled things like remote. It enabled things like sending finished, produced segments that, let's say, Nightly News was doing to New York over our IT infrastructure. Before, broadcast maintained its own infrastructure, so we consolidated all of that together as well. So definitely efficiencies.